oftentimes in the restaurant, we will look backwards in order to go forwards. And so we have dozens and dozens and dozens of notebooks from over the years. And I was looking back through a notebook, and I had made a sketch years ago about just thinking in my mind about how to present something. And I thought it would be interesting to present a foodstuff tied in a knot. Again, I don't really know why I thought that, but I did. I thought it would be clever if something came to you and it was tied in a knot. And it turned, in my note, I was thinking eggs. I was thinking, wouldn't it be cool if an egg yolk came, if somehow you could create a tube of egg and tie it in a knot? And it turns out you can, but it doesn't taste good at all. So that idea went back on the shelf, and I was just, again, thinking about things to do with foie gras, and I came across that, and I thought, aha, we could probably use some polymers, some hydrocolloids, to maybe create this effect. And once again, calls to TED, talking about stuff. It turns out that konjac gum, which is well, it's actually a konjac starch, konjac gum.
It's a tuber.
It's a tuber. It looks a lot like celery root. For those of you that know what celery root looks like, it's kind of knobby and gnarly. Got some sort of funny knobs on the top, but it can be, it too does not form a gel on its own, but it's used a lot in gluten-free pastas. So I sort of thought, well, a pasta, something that has a little bit of stretch, is not that far from tying something in a knot. Could we do something with konjac? Well, not on its own, because on its own all it does is thicken foie gras, but when you blend, and Ted talked about synergy and mixing gums, mixing polymers, and I think that's when some of this stuff gets really interesting. What you can do great stuff with each of them, but when they come together, they can become really, really cool and really neat. And when you blend xanthan gum and konjac gum together, they make a gel. And the gel they make, people like Ted like to call it viscoelastic. We say stretchy. Yes. But it has a memory. You can pull on it and it pulls back. And so we're going to show you in this video, actually, if we could start the video, how we were able to communicate with Ted and that wasn't me. Oh, great. And show how we could take foie gras and tie it into a knot. And keeping in mind that when you eat this thing, you don't go, oh, wow, this is this really stretchy, bouncy, weird thing. Once again, much like the circle, you go, huh, how did they get something that's sort of soft and creamy into a knot? And I think that when you can have that sort of humor, when you can come to the restaurant and smile a little bit, that can add layers to the dining experience. Not only are you eating something delicious, a piece of foie gras, and I'll talk about what's garnishing it, but if you can have a little bit of a smile in the process, that adds to the dining experience, makes it richer. So here we've started with classic terrine of foie gras, as we talked about, and you can see there that it doesn't look so sexy because we had to heat it up and break it. And again, hydrocolloids, these polymers, they need water to start to do their work. They can only work with water. They can't do anything without water. So we started mixing the konjac and the xanthan gum with water, and then tried emulsifying with the help of an egg yolk, which you'll see in a second. Tried emulsifying the broken foie gras into that, but there's so little water, and the amount of gum that we needed, it turned to, this is a culinary term, snot.
Snot. Mucilaginous.
It was mucilaginous.
Yes.
Yes. It was mucilaginous. So again, it was back to the drawing board. Well, we know that we can't do it with less than this amount of polymer. What do we do? Well, it turns out through some work, through some conversations, that oftentimes in commercial applications they'll put all the polymers in the oil phase, so that when the oil and the water are added, that slowly that polymer finds the water rather than it finding the water all at once and seizing up.
Just making a lump.
And so what we do, see there, you can see right there, that's when you take foie gras terrine and you heat it up. It's not so pretty, but we have to get it warm to bring it all these things together, because as soon as we drop below a certain temperature, everything's going to set and gel, and we need it to still be fluid. This is a warm mass. But you can see Chef Sam has very nicely taken some water with the help of an egg yolk. In this case, we moved away from the PGA. We're back to using an egg yolk. she took the foie gras, she heated it on the stove, she blended those, she warmed it, she blended, she sheared those gums, powders, polymers into the fat phase, put it back on the stove, warmed it a little bit more to make sure she had good dispersion.
Yep. Heating up the konjac as well.
Heating the konjac, bringing the konjac to a certain temperature, and then slowly mounted it back into the water, a small amount of water, with the help of an egg yolk to bring it all together. And now what she's doing is tapping all the air out of it. And then again, these polymers, as Ted talked about, are temperature, often temperature dependent. So she's putting it in the refrigerator to allow the temperature to come down. Some of these polymers set more quickly than others. As you know, when making Jell-O shots, you have to plan ahead. You got to do that before your friends arrive, because Jell-O sets very slowly. Other things set much quicker. Yeah. But in this case, we wanted to make sure we had plenty of time to allow it to set. So, and then boom, a very cool, flexible, that's actually a double knot foie gras, for those of you.
Double knots.
For the sailors out there.
Oh. You must have been a Boy Scout. You must have been a Boy Scout.
And so you can see, again, and what we do is we pull that out, we tie it in a knot, and it sits there for about 20 minutes so that the temperature, because even foie gras right out of the fridge, again, because that fat has crystallized, is firm. But we want it to temper. We want the fat to warm a little bit so that it's pleasant in the mouth. And again, it adds to that, wait a minute, how did they do that sort of experience? So what do you see there? Again, I'm going to see if I can do this. This is called a rare. It's a Japanese rice puff. And then the darker sauce is a puree of kimchi. And then the sort of, I don't know, grayish sauce is this guy right here. That's a puree of Iranian golden raisins. And then some cilantro stems that have been compressed under pressure. You're going to see a little bit more about what that means. These are cilantro stems, coriander, same sort of idea. So that is dish number 2. That is our knot foie.